and we all got to play in that wonderful 11 a.m. July 4th game. You're in the hot tub at 7:30 in the morning to get ready for a big league game.
Zim, I think you were like 6:30, huh?
Yeah, I was probably in there at 6:30 till 7:30
He
when
slept
you
in the hot
came
tub.
in. Yeah.
Getting to see the military, the flyovers, everything that's involved with it is it's awesome. But yeah, those day games, those early day games, you got to get moving a little quicker.
When you do see the flyover, you see the flags in the field, it gives you perspective on such a long season of how special it is to be able to play baseball for a living. I know, Zim, you love baseball, but me and Brian at times struggled a little bit with ball. And when July 4th hit, Brian and I sitting on the line, Zim just can't wait to get started with the game. And Brian and I are, actually, this is pretty cool to be able to be free and be able to, play baseball at the highest level.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast. I'm Dan Kolko. This is Ryan Zimmerman. Episode 9 coming at you today. And Zim, we are into the heat of it all. The dog days of summer. I'm sweating just sitting down here in front of these lights after walking my way over from my home here to the ballpark. It's a scorcher out there, but we play on. We come off a West Coast swing, and now we're back here in D.C., and we're going to sweat it out with all the fans in the stands.
I was going to say, you guys picked a good week to be miss. In Southern California, where it's probably 75 and sunny with no humidity.
That's right. It was that.
So we feel really bad for you coming back and having to spend a day here with us, but you'll survive.
I will somehow. You've got you've told me about your little morning routine with your cold plunge that you do every day. Are you just staying in the cold plunge for like hours at a time now when it's this hot, or you got the cold plunge and then you got the pool out back? So
we're in the pool a lot with the kids. Summer is in full swing at the Zimmerman household for sure. We do a couple camps, but I'm a camp counselor at home, so we're at the pool, and the boys actually. Henry wakes up early, so I go down there like 6:30, 6:45 every morning. Supposed to be in peace and quiet because I'm supposed to. It's the only time in my house that's quiet when everyone else is sleeping. So I wake up early and try and sneak down there. But Henry started to come down there. He knows now when he wakes up, he just comes down there. And it's kind of fun, actually. He won't go in the cold tub with me, but we started doing push-ups together.
He's
and
training.
it's really cool. So now he'll do some push-ups, and he's like, he can do 10 now.
Wow. And just for everyone's knowledge, Henry is how old now?
He's 5.
5. Okay.
Yeah. So
just banging out push-ups.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you're coming down there, you got to be part of the program. But yeah, and then they'll come put their hands in the cold tub. But it's something I did it as a player, and a lot of people, it's all over everyone's wellness routine now. I just enjoy going down there in the morning, and I'll tell you what, when you get in that thing, and then kind of take a dip under, and you come up, you're ready to start the day.
What's your amount of time that you typically do, or your max? What do you?
I'm in there I set a timer for 5 minutes.
Okay. See, there's a lot of reasons why you and I are very different. Many, many reasons.
Well, I can ride a bike.
That's one of them. Another is that I get in a cold plunge. I'm in there 15 seconds and get me the heck out.
So you complain about walking over here in the heat. You complain about being cold.
Yeah. Are we
Sounds
sensing
like you
a trend?
just like to complain about pretty much everything.
It is fun.
Yeah.
So we were out west, and you were telling me that you were able to watch a decent amount of the games while we were out there.
Yeah, it's almost easier for me to watch when you guys are out west because the games start later here. So, the kids are in bed, and I try and watch as much as I can, even when you guys are at home. I like to keep up with the team and the guys. A lot of that has to do with the next day, looking at the app and seeing the box score and watching sort of some of the condensed game. But yeah, out west, and I think honestly I watch just because I'm jealous that you guys are out there playing. It's my favorite to go on the West Coast and play, and just feels so good.
Yeah. Boys played okay out there. After a tough homestand, went out west, held their own against some really good teams, 4-5 out west, and now got to keep it going here at home. Yeah,
back home into July, hot weather, holidays. What do you got for me?
I got something that happened the last game of that West Coast trip. That series against the Angels, Franny and I said it on the air. that whole series was drunk. There were players after these games that were like, what the heck just happened?
A lot of runs.
In these games. A lot of runs, back and forth. And Sunday's game, I think it was last game of the series, Sunday. Lose track of the days in the baseball life. Sunday's game went extra innings. It went to 11. And throughout the course of that game, James Wood had 4 straight plate appearances where he was intentionally walked.
Yeah.
And this put him in some pretty elite company. There have only been 6 players in the history of Major League Baseball since they started keeping track of an intentional walk. That was in 1955.
Okay.
So let's say, what is that, 75 years now. There have only been 6 players ever to get intentionally walked 4 times in a game. You ready for these names?
Probably a pretty good list.
Barry Bonds, obviously, that happened to him 4 times. He's the only one that's had it happen to him more than once. 4 times all in one season in 2004. Yeah. Then Manny Ramirez, Andre Dawson, Gary Templeton, and Roger Maris. And James Wood.
Yeah.
James, far and away the youngest that this has happened to. So, we talked a handful of podcast episodes ago about how the league is taking notice of how good James Wood is. This just another indication of that. And I think it speaks to James. It also, I think, and I'm curious for your take on all of this, but it puts, I think, a little bit more onus on the rest of the guys in the lineup. When someone is getting, 4 fingers held up to them 4 different times over the course of a game, you need other guys to protect that guy, to drive him in, to tell the opposing manager and opposing team, you can't just work around this guy every single time he comes up. Otherwise, there's going to be, some payback in the run column. So on that trip, we saw guys like Nathaniel Lowe heat up, Josh Bell heat up, CJ had a great trip, Louis had a nice trip. So there was some protection developing over the course of that West Coast swing. But I think going forward, the rest of this year and in the future, it's going to be paramount for whoever's hitting behind James in this lineup to provide some thump and some protection for him. Otherwise, he's going to get a lot more of what he got on Sunday at Angel Stadium.
Yeah, and we talked about, every team circles a player on the other team that we're not going to let this guy beat us. And he's now circle highlighted, starred.
Yeah, all
he's
of
got
it.
Everything, every special character next to his name on the lineup card. But I have a personal story about that this kind of brought up it's not a great memory for me.
Okay.
We were playing the Cubs, and I was hitting behind Bryce Harper.
Okay.
And Joe Madden, he intentionally walked him twice for sure. It might have been 3 times. And I failed to execute any of them. And I think a couple times he walked him to load the bases. And I want to say I left 13 or 14 people on base that game, and we lost. So I was that guy that needed to protect someone.
Right.
But yes, I think, also as you realize what James is becoming, this is a guy that you build a team around. And when he's hitting second and CJ's hitting first, and we talk about this a lot when we do the games, the 9-hitter then becomes very important. And maybe not so much the first time through the order, but the 9-hitter basically becomes your leadoff hitter. And that's what a lot of this now where the pitchers don't hit, and you're seeing all these best hitters, sluggers hitting second for a lot of these teams. That's the reason why this happens. First of all, they get more at-bats throughout the season.
Sure.
But second of all, the number 9 hitter has basically become your leadoff hitter. And we always used to talk about turning the order over when the pitcher was involved and all that stuff. Now with like a Jacob Young hitting 9th, if he can get on base, now basically C.J. Abrams is your 2-hitter and James Wood is your 3-hitter.
Right.
So, having someone behind James, that's why I always thought hitting 5th or even 6th is a really important spot in the lineup on good teams, because when you go through that 2, 3, 4 area, the other teams are so careful not to let those guys beat you. If you have a guy who knows how to drive in runs in the 5-hole, like that's a huge spot because people are going to pitch around. At some point, you can't pitch around everybody.
You can't hold up 4 fingers to every single hitter. Yeah.
I think this is a good problem to have. I mean, James is, I think I saw the other night, barely past 162 games now. And for the league to be doing that to him after just basically one full season,
right? I
think it just kind of shows you that the sky's the limit, and this is a guy that you can completely build a team around.
We had a graphic up on that West Coast trip when James got to 162 career games. And by the way, he's played in every single game since he got called up. He had the exact same home runs through his first 162 as Bryce Harper had and as Juan Soto had. They both, all three of them had 31 home runs through those first 162, which is pretty crazy.
That's wild.
But Franny and I were talking about this on our Masson broadcast as well, is yes, Juan Soto and Bryce Harper were younger than James when they first came up. However, they had a lot more protecting them in the lineup. They came up onto loaded veteran teams with guys like you, and for Bryce, Adam LaRoche and Jason Worth, and so many of these established veteran hitters in 2018 into 19 when Juan came up. I mean, you're talking about Howie and Trey and you and Rendon.
Yeah, Hart.
Yeah. So James is doing this without nearly as much protection. No offense to the guys that are currently here, but
no, and they're big league players, obviously.
Yes.
Like Nathaniel's had a great year driving in runs.
Yep.
I think that's been, whatever you want to say about his average and things like that. Like, he is a good big league run producer.
Yep.
And to have someone like that behind James that knows how to drive in runs, it's a great spot for him to be.
One final note on Wood. Going into the start of this homestand this week for the Nationals, I saw a note that he has been walked more times intentionally this season, 8, than 11 teams have gotten issued intentional walks as a collective unit. So James is getting some respect from around the league. Not an all-star starter, not that type of respect, unfortunately. But
he's got to get it. He'll get it.
He'll get in there.
He'll get
in there as a reserve. All right, Zim, what do you got this week? What do you got for us?
This is, besides the heat, like we were talking about, one of my favorite weeks of the year. I love the July 4th holiday. I love the July 4th 11 a.m. game for us. Has always been an interesting one. I always joke and say it's great when it's over.
Yep.
But to know that you're the only game on, that we're playing an 11 a.m. July 4th game in the nation's capital. And I've talked to visiting teams who come in, and, the time is when you're in the hot tub at 7:30 or 8 in the morning to get ready for a big league ball game, and you run out there at 10:55 or whatever it is. It does seem a little weird. But just the atmosphere, like I said, visiting teams have told me it's one of the coolest games that they've played in. And it also gives you the whole afternoon to then go do something. Like, I remember one year as a team, we rented like a boat and went out on the Potomac, kids, wives, actually no kids, just wives, just wives were invited.
Was this before kids were
no,
around?
I think
you just
I think
said
the
we're
boat
not.
company kind of was like, I don't know if we want multiple kids running around.
Probably
you
for the
guys
best.
are going to be drinking more than just water and not paying attention.
Yeah.
But I just love the city on July 4th, being on a boat in the Potomac and being able to watch the fireworks, and, now having kids. My kids love everything about fireworks. And just a celebration of this city and the things you can do here. There's so much history here, obviously, with our nation and things that have happened. And to be a player, to play here on July 4th is such a cool experience. And, I can't wait to some of these guys will experience for the first time this year. And, it is it's just a special, special day.
You raise an interesting point about how early the game time is comparable to your typical routine. So if you have guys that eat the same pregame meal every single day before a game, like some of our guys have a burger before every single game. Are you eating that pregame burger at 7:30 in the morning? Like, what are you doing there?
I eat like a normal human, just eat breakfast in the morning.
All
but
right,
some people, yes. But yeah, I think you try and stick to your routine. The tough part is the night before is always like because they do the fireworks the night before, which is cool too. But I think it's still like a 6:30 or something, because it's got to be dark, obviously, when the game's over.
Yep.
So it's not like you get to go to bed a lot earlier. So, I mean, normally for a 1 o'clock game, you're around here. Guys are getting in at 9:30.
Mm-hmm.
Some guys are at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Relievers, people like that, maybe 10:30ish.
Relievers, people like that.
People that aren't doing anything for at least a few more hours. So, like, you talk about scooting it up 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like, for a day game, I would usually leave my house at 8:30 So now, I mean, I'm leaving my house at basically 6:30 or 7. And, you know, because you can't. I did that because that's how long it took me to get my body ready to play, unfortunately. So my body doesn't know that we're playing at 11. They just think, you know, it's time to go. So, but all that being said, I think, you know, you try and keep it as normal as possible. And I think once you run out there and you realize how cool of a situation it is, I don't want to say it's almost like a playoff game, but in the playoffs, like, things that hurt just go away because, you know, you're in the playoffs. It doesn't matter. This is it. I think July 4th isn't a playoff game, but for me, it was like that feeling of like, this is a special, almost like an honor to be able to play this game.
Yeah, and kind of what you've said before, you're the only game going at that time.
Game going, and nowadays you're probably done almost before the next game starts.
Yeah.
So it's just a special day and a special city, and just something I'll never forget, and I just love July 4th.
Well, we can talk to our next guests about playing in the July 4th game, and we've got some cool memories to share with these two that are going to join us on the 11th Inning podcast. When we come back, Ryan and I will be joined by Brian Dozier and Adam Eaton. Stay with us. Welcome back to the 11th Inning podcast with Kolko and Zim. We've got Adam Eaton and Brian Dozier from the 2019 World Series team. Boys, how we doing?
Good. We all good. What about you, Spanky?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Living the dream. Living the dream.
Oh, thanks for joining us. Me and Dan have been doing this. This is our 9th one, so we're rolling now. But we've just been having fun with a bunch of people, and you are two of the, I would say, our favorites from that team. We say that to everyone that comes on, so we appreciate it. But
y'all say that to everyone.
Yeah, but it's good. It's good to see you guys.
Yes.
Yeah, good to see y'all.
Yeah, it's good to be on, man. You know, it's always good to see people that were a part of this. You know, I had to dust this thing off, and I thought about you, Zim, and you know, Brian being there and having a good time after we won it. But yeah, it's good to see both of y'all.
Yeah, Adam is wearing a T-shirt that says "We are the champions," and I think, if I can see correctly, it's got like the little. Yeah, the outlines of you guys atop the Zamboni with your shirts off.
Yeah. Needed a little bit, but those are our six packs, you know, and we were all chiseled at the time, you know, so.
Yep.
Well, and I got joked for that because you guys were on that Zamboni, and somehow I was just by myself on the other one looking like an upset father, looking at my idiot kids who we'd all been drinking for many hours at that time. And I just remember seeing a picture of me kind of like this as you guys take your shirt off.
Yeah, I think you're on the Zamboni of the girl that was having her 7th birthday that night.
Might have been. That's the kind of guy I am, Adam. You know, I was doing it for the girl with her 7-year-old birthday, you know?
Yeah. You know, out here in the media, Zim's, you know, the mayor, but behind closed doors, he's just kicking girls to the curb.
Horrible human being.
Even though I had already drank a whole bottle of bourbon before I went on that.
Yeah, we went underneath. I remember we were, you know, that was the same time. I forget who scored the hat trick, but I was shooting people with the trophy, and then, you know, we went underneath, and I remember there was a girl there that was having her birthday, and Zim's like, you know, not real sure about this. I'm like, you know what? She doesn't know who I am. She knows who Zim is, so I'll take the role on this. We're like, hey, we'll take a picture with you if you just allow us to ride on the Zambonis, and she obliged. So. Yeah, that was probably one of the highlights. Definitely the hockey game as a whole was a highlight for me.
Yep. We'll get to plenty of the 2019 stuff, but I think, guys, we're dropping this podcast on July 4th, which kind of is fitting. Adam, you were part of a group that went over a couple years ago, or maybe last year, to Qatar, to Al Udeid Air Base, to be a part of the Nationals on base program. And you got to be there with servicemen and women, and we simulcasted our game that you were able to watch there on the base with everyone and kind of get to appreciate July 4th with our servicemen and women. What was that experience like for you?
It was awesome. You know, we also held a softball game, so it was really cool. We, the servicemen and women, we were able to have a practice with them prior to the game. We had the game. And then the very next morning, we did the telecast there live, and man, it's different, you know, having July 4th and being on, you know, our home turf and be here and watch the fireworks and everything, but to be over there where these men and women are working, they're active. They're, I don't know if you know where Qatar is, and I'm sure a lot of people have been educated on it now here in the last couple of weeks, but you're right there. And, to be on that base with those men and women that are the tip of the spear, and to be able to give them a little piece of home, and to be able to, have a live stream of the game and watch the game with them, and just to, talk about home, talk about what was going on at home, and the Nationals, and having that common bond. Really was just Major League Baseball. We had, a bunch of different people that were Dodgers fans and all of their different, teams. But it was awesome to be able to just have a piece of home to them there in Qatar, and be able to experience, July 4th, what it's like to be, active duty. Again, the tip of the spear. So it was pretty remarkable for my wife and I to be able to experience that.
Yeah, I think it kind of shows what the Nationals do for the military in this town, and players like you and your wife taking the time to go over there. I know at some point when all of my kids allow me to take cool trips like that, maybe I'll head over there, but it is on the list of things to do. I know Doge said he wanted to do it as well. So I think just the Nats do such a good job of kind of that partnership with the military. And we were talking earlier about how July 4th is so special in the nation's capital, and it's just a different feel. And we all got to play in that wonderful 11 a.m. July 4th game. I was wondering what your thoughts are on that. I've always said I like the game once it's over, because you're in the hot tub at 7:30 in the morning to get ready for a big league game. Doge,
At least, right?
Doge, you played in one, right? What'd you think of it? Did you enjoy it, or was it more? What are your thoughts on it?
So you hit the nail on the head on the 7:30 hot tub. Zim, I think you were like 6:30, huh?
Yeah, I was probably in there at 6:30 till 7:30
He
when
slept
you
in the hot
came
tub.
in. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's always great, and one of the biggest things is obviously playing on 4th of July and everything, but getting to see the military, the flyovers, everything that's involved with it is it's awesome. But yeah, those day games, those early day games, you got to get moving a little quicker,
Well,
a little
and then,
early.
I mean, when it's done, if you start at 11, well, back then you're done by 12, 1, 2:30.
2:30.
o'clock.
Now you're done.
Now you'd be done we'd be done before the 1 o'clock game start, which would have been way cooler. We could have gone and done whatever, but
That's right.
you
that's
kind of
right.
get to go enjoy July 4th in Washington D.C. and it's just
absolutely.
it's a cool connection between obviously the city of D.C., July 4th, and just kind of wanted to start with that and let everyone know Adam did such a great job going over there, and we look forward to doing more of that in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And for my experiences with that, I think you guys, probably will echo this, but when you do see the flyover, you see the flags in the field. It gives you perspective on such a long season of how special it is to be able to play baseball for a living. I know, Zim, you love baseball, but me and Brian at times struggled a little bit with ball. And when July 4th hit, Brian and I sitting on the line, Zim just can't wait to get started with the game. And Brian and I are, what? Actually, this is pretty cool to be able to be free and be able to play baseball at the highest level and then have that. But yeah, like you said, once it's over, dude, you get to go home. You could actually grill out like a normal human being, which was just doesn't happen very often for us. And typically we didn't have to go anywhere, on that Monday. So, be a normal human, go home and actually flip a burger on the grill and maybe have a water or two was always a great relief.
I love it.
Yep.
So I got the box score up from the July 4th game in 2019. I won't I won't mention that Brian Dozier went 0 for 3 with 2 Ks.
I'm sure
I
I'm
won't
1
mention
for
that.
0 for 3. I'm usually 1 for 4 with 3 Ks and a little rollover or something, beat it out.
Trivia question for you guys: do you remember who saved that game for you? And I'm asking because it's it's a little bit out there. Who got the save for your team?
Oh wow! So the obvious answer is not Doolittle.
Yeah, it is not Doolittle. It is not Doolittle.
Oh man,
you're gonna love it once you hear it.
We're gonna love it.
Yep.
I don't know. Did I play?
You did not play in that game, Adam.
Oh man, day off. Too early for the old guy.
Too early.
It must have been a day game.
Yeah, he went in the night before and I'm hurt.
Yeah, well, that was my last off day of the year.
Yeah.
All right, the answer is a 42-year-old Fernando Rodney.
Oh, perfect.
Yes. Fernando.
He wasn't awake yet. I'm
love it.
surprised he got the save. That guy.
He wasn't awake. He just never went to bed.
That's true. I love Fernando, dude. I remember we used to get into the hotel at gosh knows what time, 4 or 5 in the morning, and that guy would have his music so loud, and all of us would look around, we're like, hey, could you just? I mean, we're coming to a hotel at 3, 4 in the morning. Just turn it down a little bit, man. And Brian's shirtless, probably, singing the song with him. Then we got to calm him down. Gosh, he was always so much fun to be around.
I mean,
man.
he had like the old
blast.
school boombox on his
Yes,
shoulder.
exactly.
He got the boombox, boom, right here.
The same 4 songs on repeat.
It was.
Yes.
It was 4 songs, exactly right. And like I said, yeah, we'd be rolling in there.
That is awesome.
All the people that were running the hotel were like, well, we can't say nothing to them, so we just kept rolling with it.
Fernando Rodney.
Fernando Rodney. So what made that team special, guys, was not just because you started out 19-31 and then finished. Ryan and I were just looking up the record from June on, and it's absolutely absurd. But I think there was only one guy on your active playoff roster that had won a championship before, and that was Hunter Strickland. You guys were both in your 30s at the time. You were, you only played another year or two after that 2019 season. What, for each of you, was the significance of all of you going through a deep playoff run like that together and winning a world championship, with almost all of you doing it for the very first time?
Yeah, I came from Minnesota, and I'd never been to the playoffs, just one time in 8 years, and I think the biggest thing for me, even getting there, we heard so much stuff. The oldest team in baseball, which it was kind of like a diss to us, right? It wasn't like a good thing in the media's eyes, but I was sitting over here telling everybody still today, that's one of the best things. And I know the game's kind of getting younger and we get all that kind of thing, but when you have so many guys that's been on different teams, same team that have that leadership, you can do whatever. And for us, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, Ryan, I mean, the whole time, the whole year, I mean, we were just steadily just thinking, okay, even if it's 1931, whatever it is, that, that we're going to get through this and we're going to make it happen sooner or later, and we did. So.
Yeah, I think, like you said, the veteran aspect was the only way that we could have come back from that 1931. And I said this at the parade, I said it wherever, like, I truly believe that was the only team that could have done what we did. Not because we were super
100%.
talented or anything like that, but there was just no panic. Because all of us had been through so many different things in our career. I don't want to say we'd seen it all, but we knew that our team was good, and we knew it wasn't ideal to start 19-31. I mean, I don't think anyone wanted to start 19-31.
I would say probably not.
We were trying to win. But I think at some point we kind of were just like, hey, it's either now or never. Like, we need to start going. So we just had a realization of like, hey, we need to get going. And, having the veteran presence and guys that had been through everything in their career already, there was just no panic. And then, having Soto, Robles, some of those young guys, like the combination of veteran and youth, I think then once we started going, we almost had that quiet confidence, like Doge was saying, like we knew if we got going, we were going to be the team that nobody wanted to play. And I think when you look at teams that win and teams that go into the playoffs, like that's the team you want to be. And for my entire career and for the Nationals, like we were always the team that was supposed to win the World Series, or we won 95 games. And it was kind of nice to be the other team for once and kind of sneak in and like be the underdog, I guess.
Yeah, for me, that was the first time I ever, was playing in the playoffs, and being an older guy, I feel like you're just playing on house money that, we're going to go play and see what happens. Even me being an older guy, but not by any stretch the oldest guy on our team. I think, playing free was what I loved. We're all at that age. I think we had multiple meetings where we always talked about age, and Annabelle Sanchez says, "Well, I'm getting younger." We talk about all the age stuff, and Kurt Suzuki's like, "Well, I want to win." Jan Gomes, everyone's like, "Hey, we want to win." So I feel like when we got to the playoffs, especially after we started so rough, it was such a calm. I don't. It's weird. There was never panic. There was never unsureness. I feel like we were all so weathered at that point, and I had a lot of guys that have played in the playoffs before that it was not easy. I don't want to say it was easy, but it was pretty stressless at majority of the time. I think just the excitement built. There was never any stress for me, anyways. It was just the excitement of playing in the playoffs, but like I said, all the OGs that were in the room, it was just, hey, let's go. We're gonna go do it and make the most of it. We already got all the crappy games out, and let's make a push. And then once we got to the World Series, I love telling people this story, but we get to Game 7 and Anthony Rendon's like, doesn't matter what happens here, boys. We all get to go home. It doesn't matter. We win or lose, we all get to go home. So we might as well just win this thing.
That is the most Anthony Rendon comment of all time.
That was the motto.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're either going to win and keep moving on, or we're all going to go home. Whatever it is, awesome. Just do it.
Well, I mean, we had essentially been playing playoff baseball for 3 months before we got to the playoffs, because we dug ourselves such a big hole that, the hard part was done. We came back from the depths of whatever we started, and everyone had kind of written us off, and then all of a sudden now we're back in the playoffs. Like, house money is I think the best way to explain it, and just that group of guys, man, it's unbelievable.
Outside of it, I think one thing that gets lost in the madness of it all is how many huge moments there were in October. Like, everyone replays the Howie home run in Game 7, and all the way that it ended is amazing. It capped it all off. But from Game 6, the Anthony Rendon homer, that after Davey had lost his mind when Trey was called out at first, and then you go back to the NLDS, all the stuff that happened in LA with extra innings, and then is there one moment for you guys outside of the Game 7 stuff that really sticks out in your mind, or is especially meaningful, or kind of you feel like propelled you forward?
I think the one thing I tell everybody all the time is the Howie homer in LA, when Kershaw came in and everything, and I was obviously in LA the year before and stuff, and Kershaw and I are best friends coming in and all this kind of stuff, and that moment was kind of the dagger that kind of, I don't know if propelled us or just we got a chance to, probably win the whole thing if we can just get there. And then that moment, even the Howie, the homer in Game 7 and everything, but the LA homer was kind of a big thing for me. So.
Two things come to my mind, and one's not with the playoffs, but one is with the playoffs, is Howie's. Because if you guys might agree with me, you might not agree with me. I think LA was the best team overall that I think we played in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Talent-wise and team-wise, Houston, of course, had a great team and played a great brand of baseball. And I'm not, putting any shade on the Cardinals by any stretch of the imagination. Another unbelievable team that knew how to play the game at a high level. But when you talk about the Dodgers, it's just, when we won that game, I think for us, that was a huge speed bump to get over. So I'm with that on Dozier. Without the playoffs, for me, I think what won us the World Series, or got us to believe that we're going to win the World Series, was when we swept Chicago in Chicago on Players Weekend. For me, that was a huge weekend when we wore the all black on Sunday and won in Chicago versus the Cubs and swept them. Yeah, and it was easy. It was again, so stressless. It was, we would, give up a first inning run and we didn't even bat an eye, and we put up 3 the next inning and just move on through. For me, I think when we swept Chicago in Chicago, like I said, wearing the all black uniforms, which was legit, and you start seeing the camera crews start to come around. I thought at that moment, I'm like, dude, this is something that I've never felt before. And I don't want it to stop. Like, we just got to keep rolling with this mojo, because that, you don't just go into Chicago on the weekend and beautiful weather in the weekend, you're wearing the fancy uniforms and just have an easy sweep. Just doesn't happen. So for me, that was a big moment.
Yeah, I think you hit on the head too. Like, they'd score a run, wouldn't matter. It's like, someone will do it. Like, nobody panicked, because if you didn't do it, you knew the guy behind you was going to do it. So that almost made everyone feel and play free and easy. When you're not trying to do it every single time, because you know that if you don't get it done, the person behind you is going to get it done, then you end up getting it done even more, because you're just playing for fun. And like, we had such a good lineup and such a good, like, the depth on that team was crazy. And we just picked each other up, and everyone kind of had each other's backs. And I think we had more fun that year than I've ever had. Obviously winning helps, but like, the group of guys and just the chemistry of that team was top of the line.
Well, heck, even when we were losing, we were still having team parties. Like, that was one of the first things, that I noticed, coming from different organizations, is that you guys made such a tremendous effort to get all the families involved and get people to care about everybody in the organization. We were sweating our rear ends off at Anibal Sanchez's house in Florida. We were going to Mac. I was riding horses at your house, and I'm like, and all my kids, memories that will last a lifetime. But I'm with you, man. Even when we were struggling, we were still enjoying the group and building that foundation. And I tell people to this day, if you want to build a good team, you gotta let everyone like each other. You gotta enjoy, not like each other. You have to enjoy and respect each other and families. And like I said, I think all of us truly did like each other. And I didn't experience that on that level throughout my career by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, I think the losing made us appreciate the winning more. Once we kind of got through that terrible start, and I mean, the celebrations for that team, we'll keep it somewhat.
There's only so much that you can share here.
We'll keep it somewhat, but
because there's a member joining us on this call who.
Well, we can talk about, so after we started winning,
what can we talk about?
Oh my God.
We organically started, having basically a party in the clubhouse every single time we won. And, Doge would have an outfit that he would have depending on what team we were playing, and would then be dressed up. And we actually had someone traveled with his wardrobe bag. And I mean, so I'm just trying to give them a quick example. Like, when we went to Atlanta, if we beat Atlanta that night, after everyone did their media and everything like that, which, by the way, we would make the media wait to come into the clubhouse.
Until
and like
100%.
And like during the playoffs, they were waiting. Sometimes they were waiting for, like, because you win a playoff game, there's 4 or 5 guys that have to get interviewed. So if you're in the clubhouse, you got to wait for those guys to come in. Then the media is waiting outside the clubhouse. So we're looking at like 30 minutes before we allow the media in.
And the media is like, are they going through like post-game wrap-ups of the game?
100%.
And like,
really serious.
Planning for the next day.
But
no.
Yeah.
But the freeze made it.
The free, yeah. So like if we beat the Braves, Doge would dress up as the Freeze and run around in Houston, you had an astronaut costume. What do you remember? What were some of the other ones? Do you remember?
Well, so I do remember. I have a attic full of them.
You still have them? Do you wear them at all at home every now and then? Does Renee like when?
No.
Come on.
No, that's. I don't know if that go over well because they're not all
assembled.
I don't know what can I say. Yeah, they're not all fit together, I guess, so to speak.
So
but,
we need 10-year anniversary. You need to bring those back.
Hey, I tell you this. So 2 years ago, I did dress up as the Freeze. I had to wear shorts for some reason over the Freeze costume, but I did dress up as Freeze, and my kids did as well for Halloween. So, so I got it out, and when I got everything out, there's like I literally have like 70 costumes. Some aren't that good to look at, and
One I
But
remember the first costume from Dodgeball. The Dodgeball team, comes out
yes,
with the original costumes or the original
yes,
uniforms. Yeah, I remember that one. That one was pretty.
yes.
Well,
But
you had other people that tagged in on that too, if I remember.
yeah, so yeah, Adam Sanchez was pretty good with it. Doing the line dance and all that kind of stuff, and he bought a lot of them. He would come up with stuff. Davey was in on it and everything. But I remember when we were the 1931 and stuff. I went in there with Ali and I said, "Hey, how about this? Let's just do a little show. Can we say a little show,
Yeah.
so to speak?
Yeah, we're
And
good.
I'm gonna jump on your back with or without clothes, whatever, and let's give the boys a little
With
a little
clothes.
laughter."
With clothes.
And it ended up catching on. And man, I tell you what, I look back at it all the time, and it's. So I have a few pictures in my little man cave or whatever at my house, and one's riding Ali's back with my shirt off and just in my underwear, and another one's this and this. And my kids ask all the time, why are you in your pajamas on somebody? And I'm just like, just wait till you get older, kid.
Well, I mean, and you can take it even a step further, and I think Alex Ovechkin did that.
Yeah, I was gonna say we throw him on the spot that he enjoyed that.
Yes.
You started a trend, Doge, that led to the greatest goal scorer in the history of the National Hockey League hopping on Ali Madami's back.
But it goes even further.
And then he hopped on my back.
Yeah.
After we won it.
Oh wow.
So,
But it goes even further. I mean, like we had, like you said, Annabelle would do the Congo line, and that would go all the way through, and then whoever was the player of the game would have to come in the middle of the circle and basically do like a dance party, and then it even transformed into Strass wearing like the Rocky like fighter outfit, and I think the people listening to this, that might be the most shocking thing that they've heard, and like Steven Strasburg was part of like the centerpiece of the celebration.
Yeah. And this was after every win?
And Annabelle made Steven start doing this, and like he hated it. I don't say he hated it, but he was shy. And then like by the end of the year, Strass was like, this was his thing.
The transformation in Steven Strasburg over the course of that season is...
Well, Sanchi and Para really like did a bunch to bring everyone together. And those guys, and I always say like, you always hang out with your teammates, but there's always like, Latin guys kind of hang out over here, pitchers hang out over here. Like this team had none of that. Like we all did everything together. Everyone was involved with everything. And Sanchi and Para were a huge part of that.
Oh yeah.
I can't help but think of Strauss doing his little dance. Would he like have his hands up here? And you're right. Again, talking back to this being an unbelievable team. If you can get the guy that is the most quiet, shy, reserved, doesn't say boo to anybody, to involve himself in a team and kind of come out of his shell and be vulnerable. Gosh, that was such a cool part. It helped our young guys. I think you talked about Soto and Robles coming up and having an impact, but I mean, what a better team to come up to and to be successful right away and have such a group of guys tooting our own horns like us, to give them an experience that just doesn't happen. And to be in a lineup as good as ours too is, to fall in, Soto of course is a freak, but and so is Victor in his own respect. But that was, gosh, that's some fun times, boys.
Well, I think it took the pressure off of them. They came up and, you as a young guy, I don't know about you guys, when I came up to the big leagues, you're nervous. You're like, oh man, this is like a business. This is like grown men playing baseball. Like these guys are going to be serious. We couldn't have been further from any of what I just explained. Like we were clowns on that team. And I mean, you said Davey was in on a lot of this stuff. I mean, he celebrated winning, and like I think in modern sports we don't celebrate winning enough. It's winning's expected, and it's like, oh, when you win, that's what you're supposed to do. When you lose, it's like, oh, what did we do wrong? Like, no, like let's celebrate when we win.
Well, I think kind of from an outsider's perspective, obviously as someone who didn't play, but like there's that component of it, not celebrating winning enough, and then there's the old school mentality of let's not have fun. We're here to work. This is a job. There are managers that would not have been cool with all that you're describing. And so I think threading that needle of allowing stuff to happen, celebrating winning, not going over, while still having the decorum, enough decorum and professionalism. I think that you guys had the perfect mix of that. And it's so rare to see a team have that. Even the super talented teams,
Yeah.
that.
But again, like, not that Davey had an easy job, so don't let me think of that. But like, the clubhouse was so chiseled and just veteran status that I think we knew how to balance it as well. I don't know if that would work with every team. If you had a bunch of young guys, and I don't know if that dynamic, it may help. But like, I think, again, our mentality and how guys have been through the playoffs or have never been to the playoffs or had waited their entire existence to get to the playoffs or be on even a good team to have a chance at the playoffs. I think for me, Davey knew that we could handle that, and we weren't gonna, think too much of it or go overboard. But it was just to enjoy one another constantly, like such a long season. But I think, credit to Davey for allowing it to happen. But I think in retrospect, now you look back, we were just a bunch of grown men with kids that just wanted to enjoy ourselves.
I think as you get older, you gain perspective, and I'm gonna sound like a wise old sage right now, but like. You start to not worry about things that don't matter. And I'll never forget, we go to Houston, we beat Cole, who hadn't lost, I think, since like the end of May. And then we beat Verlander, and we're flying home up 2-0, and we're like, oh, boys. We're in a good
Sitting
spot
pretty.
right here. We are feeling good. And then game 3, like, we came out and like we hit lasers off of Greinke, like, all game long, like line drive here, and like we should have scored 6 or 7 runs off of him, and obviously we end up losing that game. And then the next 2 games, we literally got the crap kicked out of it. Like they beat us the next 2 games. So then we're coming back in the clubhouse. Talk about the complete opposite feel, but it wasn't the complete opposite feel. Like we walked in there, and we had like I'd say a meeting. Everyone. I think someone said, does anyone have anything to say? And we kind of all said something. And the one thing that I remember is someone said, I don't even remember who said it, was, listen, when we were 19-31, if I would have told you all we have to do is win 2 games in a row where we have Strass and Scherz lined up to pitch, would you guys have taken that? And the whole room was like, hell yeah. So like it went from a negative and we turned it into a positive, like as a team. Like, that's what that team did so well, is everything was a positive. And I think it just shows you too, like positive thinking is so much more impactful and beneficial than negative thinking. And there's so much negative stuff now. Let's focus on what we did well or what the opportunity in front of us holds. And I think that's what made that team so special.
I don't know if you guys felt this, but maybe it was just me personally. For me, it's a credit to the organization and the fans. I wanted to win so bad at home. So bad. Like, I wanted to see those fans go nuts. I wanted them to enjoy a win at home in the World Series. And I think for me, I put more pressure on myself when we got home because, man, I'm like, dude, I just want this place to go bananas. That's all I wanted to do. And I think for me, you don't feel the pressure, I guess, in a sense, but you can kind of, I guess you feel it a little bit. But for me, like I said, I wanted them to enjoy a win at home during the World Series because they've waited so long for it. Our fan base is awesome. They stuck with us through all of it. And I think that, I credit that. Of course, we faced a good lineup and a good staff, but I felt like we were a little tighter when we got home, personally. Would you agree or disagree? That's just my perspective.
No, I think you're right. And, like you said, I think, too, they were a good team. And I don't think we were just going to roll over them. But I think we did want to win so bad. Like you said, for the fan base that hadn't had baseball and now, hadn't had a World Series in however many decades it was. But, and I don't know. If we would have won at home, I might have not made it
You're holding on for dear life anyway, having won in Houston.
I barely made it, and we won on the road. But goodness gracious!
If you guys remember correct, when we came back in Houston, I constantly remind my son. My son's now 9, and I'm like, dude, you were having Halloween, and you were getting candy from Ryan Zimmerman and Steven Strasburg and Brian Dozier. Like, these guys are
on the plane, right?
On the plane.
Yeah.
And we had so many kids with us, and we were stuffed on that little plane, if we all remember that.
The little plane.
Well, for everyone who doesn't know, we won, and then the day traveling back was Halloween.
Yeah.
So all the kids that were on the trip got to dress up, and they went trick-or-treating on the team plane.
Yeah.
Which not
It's
according,
saved us,
not
though,
according
because
to FDA rules, or FAA
Yeah.
rules, but the big leagues are cool. You can do whatever the hell you want.
But yeah, it saved us from drinking our faces off on that long flight because we had so many kids. I mean, there must have been at least 15 plus 20 kids on that plane.
But it goes back to what you
And-
said.
At least.
Like that
At
team, like everyone's family. That team was family.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect example. Like, we did freaking trick-or-treating on the team charter on the way home from us winning the World Series.
Yeah.
Like, that's just, it's like you said, something we'll never forget.
And then you had plenty of chances to drink your faces off and have Doge take his shirt off at the parade, at the Caps game, all of it. You had plenty of opportunities for that over the
7-day bender is what I call
that
it.
was
7-day
rough.
bender.
Guys, I love checking in with any of you that we catch up with on the podcast or on our telecast or otherwise, just to give our fans a glimpse into what your life is like these days, because they grew so attached to you when you were in a Nationals uni. And Adam, you stayed attached to baseball in kind of a unique way. You're part of a coaching staff or a staff with Michigan State University with their baseball program. Tell everyone what that experience has been like for you.
Well, it's been awesome. I was blessed enough to go to kind of a charity golf outing for Michigan State baseball, and Jake Boss, which he recruited me, he was at Eastern when I went through the recruiting process in high school, and just said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I have no idea what I'm doing right now. I have no idea. I'm dropped on my head. I don't go to the park every day. I just sit at the house, twiddle my thumbs." And he's like, "What do you want to, help out?" And I said that, do you have a position for me? He's like, "Yeah, we can make one. We can figure it out." And I said, "All right, well, if you get a position or whatever, just call me and let me know, and I'll talk it over with Katie." And long story short, he called me the next day, and I became head of player development there. And it has been a godsend for my family and I. Being able to stay in baseball, being able to be around athletes that are unbelievable human beings. Michigan State program has top-notch kids that I was shocked. Going back and going into college, I'm thinking to myself, oh boy, like this could be a little dicey, not real sure what I'm getting myself into, but it has been awesome. Maverick and Braden get to go up to Michigan State and just rub elbows with the kids, and the kids are just so great with my family and I, and are so welcoming. And we've had some success at Michigan State. Midwestern baseball is pretty tough to compete on a grand scale, but it has been a super treat for my family and I, and I've enjoyed it ever since. This is my 4th season coming up, and the portal and everything else is making it really interesting. But hopefully, the team and have another decent year. So besides that, I'm coaching hockey and baseball and doing golf and tennis and Lord knows what else I'm doing. My wife will tell me tomorrow what our schedule is, because it's always evolving, and we got our kids in about everything. But enjoying Michigan and enjoying the family for lost time. So.
Doge, what about you? What are you up to these days?
Yeah, so after the 2020 season, I probably had 3 or 4 years left in me, and my little girl said she wanted me home. So that tugged at me for a little while. We have 3 kids now. I got a 5, 4, and 3-year-old, and so really the main thing is being a dad, seeing them, coach pitch, which I'll be honest with you, disaster. But But I don't know if I'll do it again. Kind of want to wring my kid's neck every single time. But
My buddies at home
it-
told me to skip that level and just wait till it's the kid pitch.
right? I know, right? So, but anyway, so being a full-time dad, we still have all of our. We run our acquisition company, real estate, all kind of stuff. Renee's doing well, and trying to get my handicap down a little bit with the golf game, but all that stuff, man, everything's going great. I'm up here right now in Arkansas at our duck camp and trying to kill some ducks this winter, trying to get a corn in the ground and all that kind of stuff, but everything's good.
I love it. Well, you two were obviously, that whole team was special, but we'll always have that year and these relationships, and I love it. Like, we haven't talked, and I saw Adam actually I guess a few weeks ago for that charity softball event. So we cross paths every now and then, but I just think the bond that we all had and just the relationships, and we should start getting together every year and doing like a golf thing or something like that, and bring the boys
Absolutely.
back in town.
Arcadia Bluffs
There we
boys,
go.
come to Michigan.
Yeah. Well,
Yes.
Full court press on Ocean Zim to come to Arcadia Bluffs up in northern Michigan, man.
you just let me know when. That's I'm allowed now. I'm good. Our kids are getting a little bit older. In September, all 4 kids will be in school 5 days a week.
Woo!
Oh,
That's a big-
yes.
That
That's
sounds
a big
like
thing.
a big plus.
Big
Yeah.
big thing in the Zimmerman household.
Yes.
Me and Heather are going to rule the world Monday through Friday from 8:30 to 1:30.
And then at 1:30,
And then at 1:30.
it all comes to an end.
And then at 1:30.
Hey, Zim, you say that. I got 2 kids still in daycare right now, and it's like from 8:30 to 5:30, right?
Yeah.
And they always wonder, I pick my kid up at like 5:29 with like 7 seconds to go.
Yeah.
I swear.
Yeah.
The very last one, so
Yep.
get them out.
All right, before we let you guys go, we're going to wrap up with the final little segment that we do with all of our guests. We call this little bit at the end 5 walk-off questions from Mr. Walk-Off. So Zim is going to ask you guys 5 rapid-fire questions, and we'll have some fun with it before we send you on your way.
All right. So just for we'll go to Eaton first, just so we have order. Real quick, the motto you live your life by.
Oh my goodness.
Or just
Enjoy
a good.
every day.
What'd you say?
Enjoy every day.
Like it?
Simple. That's all I got.
Simple,
I got a
effective.
simple brain, man. I ain't that smart, man. I don't like.
I like
Just try to enjoy every day, because I think especially when you retire, like Dozier and I are, and you try to find things to do, and sometimes that can be difficult, especially as a former player. Gosh, it's hard. You have a schedule, you have a structure, and when you don't have that anymore, it can be tough. So for me right now, that's got to be my motto, to be able to get what I can out of every single day and not sit on my butt and not do anything and drive myself berserk. So just try to enjoy every single day.
I feel you on that. Doge, what do you got?
I would say pray every day and what the good Lord wants you to do with your life. Let Him drive the wheel, and wherever He takes you, just be obedient. So
Love it. All right. Best golf trip you have taken or want to take?
I was just blessed enough to go down with a buddy of mine, Drew Leinert, down to the Masters. Saw Sunday, saw Rory win, and then I saw we went to Pinehurst number 2, Pinehurst number 4, played the Ocean course at Kauai, and then played another Kauai course as well down there, and that was an unbelievable trip.
That was all one trip?
That's one single
all
trip.
one trip. We
checked off
drove-
all the top boxes
Yes.
in one fell swoop there.
and it was awesome besides my handicap, because I'll tell you right now, the Ocean course was 40-mile-an-hour winds.
Oh.
I was hitting a 210 yard 4-iron about 135 yards with my best bullet. So that killed me. And then Pinehurst, if you've never been there, what a beautiful place that place is.
Isn't number 2 just incredible?
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Everything is an absolute pan, upside down pan. But like the greens, you can't. What do they call it? Is it called greens visiting regulation?
Yeah.
I had 5 of them
Visited,
where I'm
yeah.
like smack dab in the middle, and somehow I get back up there. I'm like, "Where's my ball at?" And it's in the bunker,
See
that
ya.
side bunker. And I'm
Yeah.
like, "What in the heck is going on here?" So it was an unbelievable trip for him and I. You know, him and I have been on a couple golf trips, but unreal.
That's a pretty badass golf trip right
That
there.
sure is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm a big golfer, and I've always wanted to play Augusta. I've never played it. And Zim, you're like this. I called a couple of years ago to see if I could, because they say it's relatively, reasonable to be a member out there. And I called, and I said, well, they said there's a wait list, and I was like, well, yeah, let me get on that list. And they said, well, just so you know, Peyton Manning's been on it for 15 years and just got in. So I said, well, I'll see you when I'm 98.
It's relatively reasonable to become a member, he says.
Yeah.
So in 15 years,
So
you'll
anyway-
go play there, and then
Yeah.
Have you played?
Yeah.
Have you played?
So
there,
anyway,
Zim?
have I played there? I have got the chance to play.
That's what I
there.
figured. I knew that.
I did.
Yeah.
We flew
Yeah.
in and played, and then stayed the night, and did the par 3 the next morning, and then played again that afternoon.
Wow.
Love
It's worth the wait, Doge. Get on that wait list, you know.
Hey, what did you shoot there?
So
You remember?
I shot. Well, so we played. You play from the tees up, so it's playing like barely 6,500, and I think I shot 79.81.
Woo!
Jeez.
Yeah,
Gosh,
oh, there you go.
yeah. But
I'm playing golf. To me, that's
I would
What's
not
it like?
have shot that where they're playing from. They play. I think they play another 1,000. Yeah, they play it at like 7,500.
Yeah,
That's just absurd.
it is.
75.
It's heaven. It's heaven on earth, though. Let me tell you what. It's the
I
coolest
love it.
place ever. But all right, third question. Favorite DC experience while you were here? Something cool you got to do, or maybe something behind the scenes, or something you saw that, you're like, man, I could only do this in this city.
I don't know if it's a cool experience, but being a military ambassador for the Nationals, just the military experience. Just you never know who's going to show up in the clubhouse to say hello. You're not, it could be a high-ranking official, it could be someone from the government. To be able to be in a town where a lot of very important people live, I think is really, really cool for me. You would bring people in Zim at times, and I wouldn't know who they were prior, and then I'd shake their hand and go Google them, and I'm like, the power that kind of walks through, and that are baseball fans is just really remarkable for me.
I think it's getting to go to the White House and getting to meet the president. That was a cool thing for me. I tell people all the time that the conversation I had with President Trump, and I told he was in the week before when we got to the White House. He was like, he was down in Tupelo, Mississippi, where I was born and raised. And I told him, I said, hey, listen, you were in my neck of the woods the other day. And he said, where's that? I said, Tupelo, Mississippi. He goes, the best people ever in Mississippi. They love me down there.
I love it.
And I was like, yep, that's it. So anyway, that's one of the best things for me.
Well, I thought it was so cool going there, just seeing like some of the paintings in the White House, and just seeing like, obviously stuff that you would never get to see. Like, I mean, I say the history, of course, the history, but like, yeah, I always say, like, I love asking that question because there's things you can do in this city that you can't do anywhere else.
Yep.
All right, best family vacation you have taken since we're all retired old family men now. What's the best family vacation you've taken?
My brother-in-law Zach plays overseas in hockey, so he's been Switzerland, Italy, the Czech Republic. He's been all over the place. So we try to go out there once a year and see him. And when we go out there, we try to hit up different places throughout Europe. and it's a blast. It's very stressful with kids to fly all the way over there. But once we get over there, being able to go to like Switzerland and France and Germany and seeing, for me, I'm kind of a history of the World Wars buff, and be able to see those things and try to educate my kids on what happened and whatever else. But just going over and chasing Zach, and being able to see like some of the coolest barns they've ever seen overseas in like Germany or Cologne or Munich and anywhere else in between is just always a blast for the family and
That's
I
cool.
to see some unbelievable places over there.
Nice. Doge?
Yeah, we do remember I got a 5, 4, and 3-year-old, so we don't do
So
too
you're going
many
to
vacations as far as.
Target your best family vacation.
Hey, if we can get them to go to a Mexican restaurant halfway decent, that's a freaking.
It's a victory.
I mean, golly. Yeah, we actually, you know what? And this is the first time Jesse, who's my 2-year-old, and then Rip, my 3-year-old. First time they flew. We just got back yesterday from Minnesota. We went up there. We stayed with Mauer at his lake house, and with Trevor Plouffe and everybody, a bunch of us. And that was kind of the. I'm not gonna say the first family vacation, but that was first time on the flight all together, and then it beats just hanging out at the Mexican restaurant. So
That's awesome. You're almost there, man. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
is there?
There is. You'll make it. That's coming from a guy who
Okay.
I was in a tough spot for the last 2 years. You make it out. You make it out. All right, last one. Go-to karaoke song.
Oh my goodness.
This is easy for Doge. I'm glad Doge is
Hey,
going second.
if he
easy,
says
yeah.
anything but
I know.
what I think he's going to say, then
No.
Eaton, I don't
got a
think
different
Eaton's
one.
a great karaoke guy, but he could shock us.
I've got my go-to. Every time it comes on, I've got my go-to. It's not. It doesn't involve me taking my clothes off or anything like that. So y'all are good. But have y'all ever heard of? And I say, hey, yeah, yeah. What's going on?
this is the first actual karaoke performance we've gotten on the podcast when you've asked that question. So
did.
this is
I'm not answering. I can't follow it up.
And
man.
also, like, Doge, were you in a band in college? Or were you?
I was.
And isn't your boy somewhat big time now? I don't think people know that.
Yeah, so our drummer, who was our first baseman at Southern Miss, Adam Doliak, country music guy. He's got a lot of songs. And then our lead singer, my roommate, Jamison Rogers, he's spitting out songs left and right.
Wow.
Gold beer, call it my name. all that
Where
kind
were
of
you
stuff.
in the
So
band? What was your job in the band?
Hype man.
My job, I was a lead guitarist, but I also was a backup vocalist. And the only role I had was, that song that says, "Big wheels keep on rolling,
Yeah.
round Mary keep," and I go, rolling, rolling, rolling. That was it. So that was it.
All right.
I got nothing.
You have
I can't follow
nothing?
that up. I got nothing. I'm not much of a singer like Brian.
Get a couple adult sodas in you, and you're not doing anything.
Oh,
I'll say this,
We could
so-
get them going. We could get them going.
I'm gonna throw my wife under the bus, but she, her dad, being a hockey guy, made her memorize the song because he knew that once she got to college, the freshmen usually have to stand up, and she memorized the Humpty Dance,
Oh,
and
wow.
she can rap the entire Humpty Dance.
Okay, that's pretty good.
that
Yeah,
is.
I know I don't have one, but it's one of these days she'll bust it out on the boat for the kids and everything. It's pretty impressive that she knows the entire song.
And I mean this in the nicest
Oh,
way.
wow.
That would be the last song I would imagine
Bingo.
her busting
That's the
out.
funny part about it. When she starts ripping it, it's like I don't even know that side of her.
We're
So
gonna-
like when she starts singing, I'm like I don't even know how to look at you right now. 'Cause
That's awesome.
That's something different. So
That is.
yeah.
Well, boys, thank you for taking time. I hope you guys had fun. We've enjoyed doing these
Yeah,
things,
this is awesome.
and it's so good to see you guys. And I know our fans love hearing from you guys, and can't wait to have you back. And let's get together and play some golf, and or go some duck hunting, or do something.
I love that. Hey, I enjoyed it, fellas.
Great seeing you, boys.
Thanks,
All
fellas.
right, take care. Love y'all.
All right,
All
See
right,
ya.
see you guys. Welcome back to the 11th Inning Podcast with Kolko and Zim. Great stuff there with Dozier and Eaton. Those guys are a ton of fun, and thanks to both of them for joining us this week. Let's get to your fan questions now. You can write in, as always, with your fan questions to 11th.inning@nationals.com. That is 11th.inning@nationals.com. We've loved getting your questions. Keep them coming. This is awesome. First question this week comes from Matt Focht, F-O-C-H-T, Focht.
The C and the H are silent.
Yep. From Gaithersburg. Matt writing in with a question, who says, "Hey, fellas, listening to the Adam LaRoche podcast reminded me of Ryan's brief stint in left field in 2014. What did Ryan think about playing the outfield, considering we never saw him there again? Was there any weirdness back then because LaRoche's option was declined after that season so Ryan could move to first base? How do players typically handle something like that? The pod keeps getting better. Keep it going. My go-to song is Margaritaville." Matt.
That's a solid karaoke song.
That's a good one.
A lot of
Gets the people going.
A lot of audience interaction with
Yep.
that one.
So kind of a two-parter here. Tell us about your left field experience in that 2014 season, and then you forcing Adam LaRoche out of town.
Thanks, Dan. No, I'll go with the forcing Adam out of town first. I think players don't really get too bent out of shape about that just because
It's the business of baseball.
Business, they understand. Obviously my arm surgery and then not coming back, and I wasn't going to play third anymore. So, yeah, I guess it was my fault that Adam had to leave, but that's all right. I sleep at night still. But actually playing the outfield, I love playing the outfield. Growing up, I played shortstop and never played the outfield, but I always loved working on pop flies and things like that. And when I got to college at UVA, if the pitchers threw a shutout, Coach O'Connor would let them have pitchers batting practice. And, the position players didn't have to show up or do anything for it. It was usually after practice. And some of the pitchers would do it, some of them wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I would go out in center field and just shag and try and catch as many fly balls as I could. And I just love playing in the outfield. It's just so much easier than the infield.
Really?
I was saying that kind of as a joke, but it's, I will say that the tough part about the outfield is in the infield, if you dive for a ball or if you screw up, someone's there to help you.
Yeah.
In the outfield, it's on you.
Yeah.
But it was fun. I think, I don't know how many games I played out there. It was a decent amount of games.
It was a handful. And we showed on our Masson broadcast recently the anniversary of that game in 2014, where the 16-inning game in Milwaukee, where you made a diving catch to end the game. Yep. And that, to me, that is my memory of you playing left field. I can look up how many games you played out there.
My career.
That's the highlight. I don't remember all the other games, but there were a bunch. And
they were errorless. I didn't make one error out there.
Well done.
I had a few assists. And I think in the Milwaukee game, I got the hit earlier, the inning before, to put us ahead, and then I made the diving catch. That's why it was such a big deal. But I had fun out there. I enjoyed it. I got to meet a whole new demographic of fan out there. The infield, that's one thing the outfielders always told us is hey, you guys are – the expensive seats are around where you guys play, so most people are a little bit calmer and more polite, at least for the first 5 or 6 innings until they get a little liquid courage in them.
Yeah.
But the outfield is
different story.
Full go from pitch one. So I got to experience some of that. So it's, it's a part of my career I'll never forget.
There you go. All right, let's get to our next question from Tom Natali, who says, "Hey, Zim and Dan, huge fan and love the pod so far. I've listened to every episode. Per your request, I'll include my go-to karaoke song, which is Aha's Take On Me." Very Nat-centric there. Fun fact, my band used to cover that song at the Bullpen here in Navy Yard a few years ago.
Still never been.
I've popped in occasionally. Yeah.
Take On Me is tough vocal range.
You got to have it all.
That's good.
Anyways, Tom says, "My question is for Zim. I've long theorized that the 2019 team wasn't the best one on paper during your run, but got hot at the right time and the team's camaraderie was unmatched. Do you agree? And if so, Was there a team that you thought was the best? For the record, I thought the 2017 team was that. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's some sort of analytics that could just answer this question. We could ask some AI to do it for us.
Right.
but
We're not going to do that.
We're the AI here.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that was a really good team, 2019. I think it gets a bad rap because we started 19-31. I mean,
Right.
if you look at the actual roster and
Loaded.
the pitchers, it's loaded with, like, really good players, big contracts. So I mean, that team was very talented as well.
Yep.
We were talking about this before we came on. I mean, we've had some really good teams here. And
This is tough.
Yeah, I mean, you could say 4 or 5 different teams that I think would all be in the argument.
Yeah.
I always go back to 2012 because I feel, and I think it's because that year kind of still, you know me, I get past things. I don't want to say easily, but I tend to do okay and just move on.
Yeah.
2012 always stings for me because I feel like that team had sort of what 2019 had as far as like chemistry,
The magic.
the magic. Yeah, it had like the it thing that everyone talks about in sports. So I feel like if we could have gotten past that first round in 2012, and actually DeRosa talked about that when we had him on the pod.
Yeah.
He said that was like one of the best teams he's ever been on as far as camaraderie, chemistry, and talent. So I think I always go back to 12 just because it was a really good team. But we just had that magic feeling, and that one still stings. If we could have made it past that first round, I think we go deep into the playoffs.
I'm just going to quickly rattle off some names from that team for you. You got LaRoche at first, Espinosa at second, Desi at short, you at third, an outfield of Morse, Harper, and Worth, a bench of Lombardozzi, Bernardina, Tyler Moore, Rick Ankiel. You got Kurt Suzuki joining the roster midway through the season, Chad Tracy, Mark DeRosa, Wilson Ramos, I believe, tore his ACL for the first time that year.
Yep.
Rotation-wise, Gio won 21 games that year. Jordan Zimmerman, Strauss, Ross Detweiler, Edwin Diaz, a bullpen of Storin, Clippard, Stammen, Matthews. Ryan Matthews had a really good year that year.
Yep.
Sean Burnett, Mike Gonzalez, Tom Gorzolani, John Lannon, Chin-Ming Wong.
And I was just that was what was the Strass year where we had to decide?
That was the
That
year
was
that
it,
he
right?
did not pitch in the postseason.
Right.
Yes.
So I think as a team too, like we dealt with that. We kind of dealt with everything, and nothing bothered us. So I think maybe I just had a special place for that team, and obviously it was really good too.
I will just throw out, and you mentioned it, we could list the 2016 team, the 2017 team, the 2018 team. You know, there's all the pictures that live on the internet of in the same Nationals uniform, Juan Soto, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, not to mention all the veteran guys on that team.
Don't bring that up, Dan. Our fans
I'm
don't
sorry.
like that.
But I'm going to just go back to 2014 here for a second. Wilson Ramos, Adam LaRoche, Espy, Desi, Anthony Rendon at third. An outfield of Harper, Span, Worth. You, Franny, Lobe, Asdrubal Cabrera, Tyler Moore still, Nate McLeod, Scott Hairston, Michael A. Taylor. Pitching-wise, a rotation of Strauss, Jordan Zimmerman, Tanner Roark, Doug Fister, Gio Gonzalez, Rafael Soriano, the closer, Clip, Jerry Blevins, Drew Storin, Aaron Barrett, Stammen, Detweiler, Trinan.
Yeah.
I mean, that team was really good, and you had three guys who finished in the top 20 of the MVP voting that year. That's pretty good.
Well, I think the moral of the story is pitching wins. So we're going to solve all the problems right here with this email.
Yes, we will.
When we look at these teams, it seems like, I mean, offense was good, but
Yeah,
now that you read those off, the pitching was insane on
pitching
those
was
teams.
insane. Yeah, and deep.
Yeah. Cool question.
Great question. Great question. Let's get to one more from Daniel Dales, who says, I'm a resident of Long Beach, California, but grew up in D.C. and have been a longtime Nationals fan. We always see the Nats when they're in town, and I love seeing the team, the fans, and everything that makes me feel connected with the city I love. My question is, if the players can notice Nats fans when they're on road trips, can you hear us cheering when you hit a dinger into the waterfall at Angel Stadium? Are there notable cities where Nats fans show up more than others? Thanks for what you do. Love the podcast.
First of all, we can definitely hear cheering, and we appreciate it. It's always nice to go to an away park and have a good contingency of Nats fans. It
Yeah.
makes us makes us feel good about ourselves. As far as a city I remember, I always remember San Francisco having lots of Nats fans. And I had some buddies who actually went to work out there that I went to school with at UVA, and a couple of them went right to San Francisco from college. A couple of them came here first and then went there. And I kind of asked them why there are always so many Nats fans out there. And I guess it's a huge place where people go, basically from here to work in San Francisco, or they travel there a lot for work. And it's just one of the coolest parks to go check out. So I think a lot of Nats fans just put it on a bucket list to go see us play at that stadium. But I always remember San Francisco having tons of Nats fans.
You know what this question just kind of prompted in my brain was, I think it was 16, the year that you guys clinched in Pittsburgh.
Yep.
And there were probably like 5 rows right behind the dugout of just filled with Nats fans. It was just red. And that was the year that you guys won a game, but then had to wait and see, I think, how the Mets finished in order for it to clinch that day. And it was just so cool.
Yeah.
See, it felt like a little mini home game that day, the amount of Nats fans that were right behind the dugout.
Pittsburgh always has
Pittsburgh's
a
a
bunch of
good
Nats
one.
fans,
Yep.
too, just because I think it's such an easy trip, and the park is gorgeous.
Beautiful stadium.
So now, San Francisco and Pittsburgh, definitely, for sure.
Awesome. And you guys appreciate it.
We love it. Keep coming.
Keep them coming. All right. Thanks to all you for the questions. Keep them coming. 11th.inning@nationals.com. You can shoot your questions to Ryan or I on social media. Ryan's all over that stuff. Just the email works as well. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thank you to our fantastic production team, Wendy Bailey, executive producer, Nate Baker, producer, editor, camera guy extraordinaire, Olivia Taylor, Lizzie as well. Thank you to all of you. And Zim, we're going to take a break after this one because of the All-Star break, and then we'll get back to people a couple weeks into the second half of the season.
Yeah, we got some good names in the queue, and we'll see what we got. But thanks for listening and watching. We appreciate it, and have some more cool ones for you after the break.
Awesome. Take care, everybody. Enjoy July 4th. Enjoy your All-Star break. Talk to you in the second half.